Episode 13, The Trap Springs. Marcus emerged from the subway at 149th Street into a Tuesday morning that felt like walking through broken glass. Every face in the crowd could be a Deluca watcher. Every car idling at the curb could contain men with orders to drag him into an alley and extract the location of his father's evidence with pliers and blowtorches. 36 hours until Wednesday night. The number had become a heartbeat in his skull. He'd spent the night riding subway lines in random patterns, dozing in stations, staying mobile. The canvas bag never left his shoulder. At 3 a.m., he'd found himself on a platform in Coney Island, alone except for a drunk sleeping on a bench and the distant crash of winter waves against the beach. He'd thought about his father then, about the 3 days between going to the police and the factory fire. Had James Chen spent those days like this? Running, looking over his shoulder, knowing it was already too late? Now, in the gray November morning, Marcus walked 3 blocks east before doubling back west, checking reflections in store windows. No obvious tail, but that meant nothing. The Delucas had found him at St. Augustine's. They had resources Marcus couldn't begin to match. He stopped at a payphone outside a laundromat on 147th Street. The same one he'd used yesterday felt too exposed. He fed in a dime and dialed the direct line Hutchins had given him. 2 rings. 3. Hutchins, it's me. A pause. You okay? Still breathing. They found me at the church. I know. Father Michael called me last night. Hutchins's voice was tight, controlled. Where are you now? Moving. What's the plan for Wednesday? We need to meet, not over the phone. Marcus watched a woman pushing a stroller past the laundromat, a man in a business suit hurrying toward the subway. Normal people living normal lives. Where? You know the Botanical Garden? The main entrance on Southern Boulevard. Yeah, noon today. There's a bench near the fountain, left side of the main path. I'll be reading the Times. Marcus checked his watch. 8:47 a.m. 3 hours. I'll be there. Marcus, Hutchins' voice dropped lower. If you see anything wrong, anyone following you, don't come. Just keep moving and call me tonight at 7 from a different phone. Understood. The line went dead. Marcus hung up and stood there for a moment, watching the street. A black sedan rolled past, 2 men in the front seat. His heart hammered until it turned the corner and disappeared. Not them. Just paranoia. Except paranoia was the only thing keeping him alive. He had 3 hours to kill and nowhere safe to go. His apartment was being watched. Frank's place might be compromised. The print shop, Saul, would have questions about why he'd missed Monday, and Marcus couldn't afford questions. Mrs. Rodriguez's apartment was too close to his own, and he'd already put her at enough risk. The Bronx Youth Alliance. The thought came suddenly. Jimmy Reese's community center on 152nd Street. Marcus had missed Monday's appointment to meet the kids, but Jimmy had seemed like a man who understood trouble. And a youth center full of teenagers and volunteers would provide cover, at least for a while. Marcus walked north, taking side streets, checking behind him every block. The morning was cold enough that his breath steamed, and the canvas bag strap dug into his shoulder. Inside, his father's notebook, the photographs, the cassette tape, 20 years of evidence. 20 years of waiting for justice. The Bronx Youth Alliance occupied a converted warehouse between a bodega and a vacant lot. Colorful murals covered the brick walls. Kids playing basketball, people holding hands, a rising sun breaking through clouds. Through the windows, Marcus could see movement inside. He pushed through the front door into warmth and noise. The main room was organized chaos. A dozen teenagers clustered around tables. Some doing homework, others playing cards, a few shooting pool at a battered table in the corner. Music played from a radio somewhere, competing with voices and laughter. The smell of coffee and toast hung in the air. Jimmy Reese stood near a bulletin board, talking to a young woman with an afro and paint-stained overalls. He looked up as Marcus entered, and something flickered across his face. Concern, maybe recognition of trouble. Marcus. Jimmy crossed the room in 3 strides. You okay? Sorry I missed Monday. Something came up. Jimmy studied him for a long moment, taking in the canvas bag. The exhaustion Marcus knew must be written on his face, the way his eyes kept flicking to the door. You need somewhere to be for a while? If that's okay. Teresa. Jimmy turned to the young woman. Can you cover the art room? I need to talk to Marcus. Teresa. Not the same Teresa from St. Augustine's. Marcus nodded, and headed toward a side door. Jimmy gestured for Marcus to follow, leading him past the pool table and through a narrow hallway to a small office in the back. The office was cramped but organized. Desk piled with papers, filing cabinets, a coffee maker on a side table, photographs of kids covering one wall. Jimmy closed the door and turned to face Marcus. "You're in trouble." It wasn't a question. Marcus set the canvas bag down carefully and sat in the chair facing the desk. "Yeah. The kind that follows you, or the kind that stays put?" "The following kind." Jimmy poured 2 cups of coffee from the pot and handed one to Marcus. "You want to tell me about it, or you want me to just give you a place to sit until whatever you're running from catches up?" Marcus wrapped his hands around the warm mug. The coffee was strong and bitter. "My father was murdered 20 years ago. I recently found evidence proving it. The people who killed him want that evidence back." Jimmy didn't blink. He sat down behind his desk and sipped his coffee. "You go to the police?" "The police are part of the problem." "Usually are." Jimmy leaned back in his chair. "So what's your play?" "I'm meeting someone at noon, a journalist. We're working on getting the story published, but the people after me gave me a deadline. Wednesday night. Bring them the evidence or people I care about get hurt. And you're planning to do what? Walk into their trap?" "Something like that." Jimmy was quiet for a moment, studying Marcus over the rim of his coffee cup. Finally, he said, "I did 2 tours in Korea. Came back to a city that didn't want black men having opinions or demanding rights. I've seen what powerful people do to folks who challenge them. You sure you want to go down this road?" "I'm already on it. No turning back now." "There's always a choice, not for me." Marcus thought of his father's voice on the cassette tape. "Some things are worth dying for. My father made a choice 20 years ago. He knew it would probably get him killed, but he did it anyway. I owe him the same courage." Jimmy nodded slowly. "Your father raised you?" "Until I was 5. Then he died and I went into the system. And now you're trying to finish what he started." "Yeah." "That's a heavy burden for one man." "I'm not alone. I've got people helping me." "Good." Jimmy stood and moved to the window, looking out at the street. "You can stay here until you need to leave for your meeting. There's a back door through the storage room if you need to exit fast. And Marcus?" He turned back. "When this is over, if you're still breathing, you come back here and teach these kids like you promised. They need someone who understands what it means to stand up for something." Marcus felt something loosen in his chest. "I will. Now get some rest. You look like hell." Jimmy left, closing the door behind him. Marcus sat in the quiet office, listening to the muffled sounds of the youth center beyond the walls. Laughter, music, life, continuing despite everything. He checked his watch, 9:23 a.m., 2.5 hours. He pulled out his father's notebook and opened it to a random page. March 17th, 1949. Saw Deluca arrive with 3 men. Black Cadillac, license plate NY 847223. Carried 2 suitcases into basement. Left 30 minutes later with 1 suitcase. His father's careful handwriting documenting everything. Building a case that no one would listen to. Marcus closed the notebook and leaned back in the chair, closing his eyes. Just for a minute. Just to rest. He woke to Jimmy shaking his shoulder. "It's 11:30. You need to move if you're making that meeting." Marcus jerked upright, momentarily disoriented. The office. The youth center. Right. He grabbed the canvas bag and stood, his body protesting. "Thanks for letting me crash. Back door's through there." Jimmy pointed to a side exit. "Comes out on 153rd Street. You can catch the 2 train at the corner." Marcus paused at the door. "Jimmy, if something happens to me, if I don't come back, there's a man named Frank Kowalski. Lives in the South Bronx. He'll know what to do." Jimmy's expression didn't change. "Nothing's going to happen to you. But if it does, I'll remember the name." Marcus slipped out the back door into an alley filled with overflowing dumpsters and broken glass. He moved quickly to 153rd Street, checking both directions before heading toward the subway station. The Botanical Garden was a 15-minute ride and a 5-minute walk from the station. Marcus arrived at 11:55, approaching from the south entrance and circling around to make sure no one was following. The garden was nearly empty on a cold Tuesday in November. A few elderly couples walking the paths, a woman sketching near the rose garden, nobody who looked like Deluca muscle. He found the bench near the fountain at exactly noon. Gerald Hutchins sat reading the Times, wearing the same rumpled coat he'd worn at the Starlight Diner. He didn't look up as Marcus sat down beside him. "Anyone follow you?" "No? You sure?" "As sure as I can be." Hutchins folded the newspaper and set it on his lap. "I've been working on this since Sunday. Made some calls, pulled some favors. Here's what we're looking at." He spoke quietly, eyes on the fountain. "The assistant DA I mentioned, Sarah Chen, no relation to you, has been building a RICO case against the Delucas for 2 years. She's solid, not on anyone's payroll. I showed her copies of your father's evidence yesterday. She wants to move forward, but she needs more than 20-year-old documentation. She needs current criminal activity." "That's what the Wednesday meeting is about," Marcus said. "They want me to bring the evidence to Pier 47. If we can document that meeting, we can prove current criminal conspiracy, extortion, and possibly attempted murder." Hutchins nodded. "That's the plan. Sarah's coordinating with the FBI. They'll have agents positioned around the pier with cameras and recording equipment. You go in wired, make them say incriminating things on tape, and we've got them. And if they search me, find the wire, then you're dead." Hutchins turned to look at Marcus directly. "I'm not going to lie to you, this is dangerous as hell. The Delucas aren't stupid, they'll be careful. And if anything goes wrong, the FBI won't move in until they have enough evidence to make charges stick. You could be on your own for a while." Marcus thought about his father walking into the police station 20 years ago, carrying his notebook and photographs, believing the system would protect him. "What choice do I have? You could run. Get on a bus tonight, head west, never look back. And let my father's murder go unanswered? Let Robert and Diane's beating go unpunished? Let the Delucas keep running their operation?" Marcus shook his head. "No, I'm doing this." Hutchins studied him for a long moment. "Your father would be proud of you, or horrified. Maybe both. Probably both." "Okay." Hutchins pulled out a business card and wrote something on the back. "This is Sarah Chen's direct line. Call her tonight at 8 o'clock from a payphone. She'll walk you through the technical details, how the wire works, what to say, what not to say. The FBI will want to brief you tomorrow morning." Marcus took the card. "What about Robert and Diane?" "They're still in the hospital with corrupt cops watching them." "Sarah's aware. She's arranging for federal protection starting tonight. The guards will be replaced with FBI agents posing as hospital security. Your friends will be safe." Something loosened in Marcus's chest. "Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This could still go sideways in a dozen different ways." Hutchins stood, picking up his newspaper. "Stay mobile today and tonight. Don't go anywhere predictable. And Marcus," he paused, "if at any point this feels wrong, if your gut tells you to walk away, do it. The story isn't worth your life." He walked away, leaving Marcus alone on the bench. Marcus sat there for a while, watching the fountain, thinking about Wednesday night. Pier 47 in Red Hook, 9 o'clock. He'd be walking into a trap, wired for sound, hoping the FBI could protect him if things went bad. His father had trusted the system and died for it. Now Marcus was about to do the same thing, except this time there was a journalist and a federal prosecutor and FBI agents backing him up. This time, maybe, justice would actually happen. He stood and walked toward the garden exit, the canvas bag heavy on his shoulder. He had 30 hours left until the meeting, 30 hours to prepare, 30 hours to make peace with the possibility that Wednesday night might be his last. As he reached the street, a black sedan pulled up to the curb 50 feet ahead. Marcus froze. Two men got out. One was the thick-built enforcer from St. Augustine's. The other was older, wearing an expensive suit, his gray hair slicked back. They stood beside the car, looking directly at Marcus. The older man smiled, not friendly, predatory. "Marcus Chen," he called out. "We need to talk." Marcus's hand tightened on the canvas bag strap. Behind him, the garden. Ahead, the street and the Delucas. No clear escape route. The older man took a step forward. "Your father was a stubborn man, wouldn't listen to reason. I'm hoping you're smarter than he was." Marcus's heart hammered. This wasn't the Wednesday meeting. This was something else. An ambush. A final warning. Or maybe just the end. He had 30 hours until Pier 47. he might not make it that long.
Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures. Thanks for watching our stories. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more epic adventures.